Hi, hello, welcome to the podcast. This is directly to you. It's episode 224. I'm AJ. I do this podcast. It's Redirect's podcast. I'm joined by Parker. He also does the podcast. He's also a redirect. Hello. You can help us in the show and support the channel and watch videos and do all that stuff by going to youtube.com/watchredirect. And you can support in other ways by going to twitch.tv/redirect. And you can give $4.99 on either one of those places. And it don't have to be your $4.99 if you choose Twitch specifically and you have an Amazon Prime account, because you can link it to your Twitch account. You get a free sub every month. You just got to remember to renew it. That's the price that Jeffy B asks you to pay. But no actual money's out of your pocket. So that's neat. If you don't mind spending a little bit more extra monies, you can do 8-bit on our Patreon. Oh, I freaking yeeted a toad. Toad died. But you can freaking go to our Patreon, and any of those membership levels that you think are cool outside of the platform specific stuff like emotes and loyalty badges and stuff, you can get if you do say you subscribe on Twitch as a tier 1 member and you want to be an 8-bit member. You can give us $4 on Patreon. There you go, you're an 8-bit member. Or $3 because it's $4.99. But you know what I'm saying. The amount of money is the amount of money. You do not have to do that specifically if you are already a member. But yeah, like I said, you get loyalty badges, emotes, time to time, it's free Switch keys, all that other good dear stuff. And you get to listen to us record this show, which hopefully this isn't as big of a thing, but sometimes the shows just disappear. They just evaporate. So you might be the only person to hear it ever. For being a $4 or higher member. But anyways, today we're doing the show, man. They did the Game Awards. It was a thing that happened and Nintendo was there. True. Man. So we're going to talk about the Game Awards, mostly from a Nintendo slant, because I mean that's the stuff we care about, but we'll probably talk about some other stuff too.
It is funny, as I was looking through the articles for today and stuff, one of them from December 4th was, the Game Awards will be significantly shorter with less major new game announcements. Would you say it was significantly shorter?
I think it was the same length. Don't they usually end at 11?
So. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know. In any case, I full disclosure, I was putting Ezra to bed. Took way longer than I thought it would. And so there was like 45 minutes left when she was asleep, and I was like, I don't really want to watch it from the beginning. So I just caught up from wherever it was then. So yeah, there were a couple of things that I just didn't know. Also, I texted a friend and was like, hey, is it worth checking it? Because I didn't know if you were streaming or something like that. So I was like, I'm not going to check with AJ. But I checked with Mitch because I knew he was kind of watching it because they were giving away Steam Decks. And I was like, are there any like Nintendo announcements or anything? Did I miss anything? Should I catch up or just, start where it's at now? And he was like, I don't think I remember any Nintendo things.
There was a Nintendo announcement.
He was wrong.
Yeah.
So I missed some of that stuff as it happened. So yeah, that fun things to wake up to this morning, all told. But I did catch a couple of interesting moments right towards the end, especially.
Of the Game Awards. I was very confused.
Overall,
so I mean, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that because it doesn't even have anything to do with the show as they planned anyway. But that kid, I was like, what the heck? So like, I was watching it. I was watching it with Alec and Youth. Well, I was watching it on the stream, but they were like in voice chat with me. We see this child, and we're like, yo, what the heck is the child doing there? And like, I was like, yeah, just jokingly being like, yo, let the child speak. And then after they like accepted the award, he did speak, and he did not say something that was good to say an award show. But I didn't even catch what he said because I was like laughing at the
all I'd heard was Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Like I heard Orthodox and Bill Clinton announced about it, and I was like, what is going on?
What the heck?
Yeah. So man, and then Ashley proceeded to just look up in just Twitter Game Awards, and everything was just that kid. Which, yeah, there it is. So, Yeah, there was a part of me for a second that I was like, after Joseph Ferris in 2017 or 2018 or whatever, and then this year, like, are they trying to do some PR stuff?
Yeah.
But he got arrested.
Right,
so,
right. Joseph Ferris did not get arrested, so
yeah.
After I saw it, because I was like again, I didn't hear what he said. Like, if I heard what he said, because like in retrospect, I know what he said. But like not knowing what he said, I was like, was that planned? But after I knew what he said and the fact that he got arrested, I was like, nah, they didn't plan that. This kid broke into the show.
Or they
for
planned
sure.
something completely different. They were like, just come up there and say like happy holidays, and then he went up.
No shot.
Obviously,
he didn't get.
No way.
Exactly. Like he wouldn't have got arrested for that. You know, like
yeah. Oh man, yeah. So, but in any case, I got that part. But yeah, overall, what did you think? Just Game Awards as a whole?
It was fine. I like at this point, I just watched the award show because like it's just like the gamer adjacent reason for any normal human that watches an award show, or just like to laugh at the dumb stuff and like poke fun at outfits and stuff. Like we had the t-shirt blazer count, which was disappointing. We only got 12, man. What the heck? Why is their publicist stepping it up and telling them not to do that? I want entertainment.
That's right. Come on, man.
But yeah, no, like the thing is, like most of the games that get announced there, regardless, because I mean, I have all 3 consoles, right? Like I could play whatever I want. But even that said, the stuff that I want to play is very limited at like Game Award adjacent stuff, like the Summer Game Night stuff, like all that crap. Because it's very like not casual gamer in the like Wii sense, but casual gamer in the like I play Call of Duty and I play Madden and that's it.
Yes.
You know, like those are the announcements that happen at these shows. It's like it's the very shooty like and like funnily enough, a lot of high fantasy stuff. I was talking to Alec about this. I was like, it's always a bunch of like shooty and then high fantasy and then roguelikes. That's like everything that gets announced at these shows, and I don't care about any of those things. So it's like the announcements are usually not for me, but it is fun to be like, I think this game's going to win this award, or this developer or whatever, which for what it's worth, most of the things that I knew about, I guessed pretty often. I was like, oh, this game's going to get that. And even like the rationale of like Game of the Year, which I don't know if we want to like talk about this in any specific order.
Yeah, sure.
So Game of the Year happened, and I was like, this was going to happen. God of War is going to get, or so the specific rationale I said, I thought, because it was whichever game gets like best game direction was not going to get Game of the Year. It's going to be Elden Ring is going to get Game of the Year. That was the thing that was the guiding force there. Like I just knew Elden Ring was going to win Game of the Year, and then God of War is going to win everything else because like it's voted on, but also even more than that, like their vote counts way more. Like the industry vote and the Game Award vote counts way more than like the people vote. So I feel like they try, and this tinfoil like is not confirmed or anything like that. This is an insider information, but it very much so feels like the Game Awards is way more of an ad than it is like an actual like award show. Which one does the industry think is the best game or whatever? They kind of just want to give everybody flowers. So it's like, all right, well, if we can't give God of War Game of the Year, we'll give it everything else. Now you would think that if the awards were based on logic and it actually was trying to award the best game, the Game of the Year would win everything else. But also that makes every other award category pointless,
useless. Yeah, exactly.
Like there's like there would be a good argument for like if the like big ticket like best narrative, best game direction, best art style and stuff like that, if it was a little bit more splattered and like this game won one and this game won one, but the Game of the Year game won two, you know, and that's what put it above everybody else. But usually what happens is the other game that's like in contention, the game that like there will be people that are angry if it doesn't win, because usually there's at least two of those in mass. Like obviously people are mad that freaking Xenoblade or whatever didn't win either, but I'm talking about like the big, like the majority of people watching the show expect to win the God of War or the Elden Ring, you know. There's people that are mad that God of War didn't win. So they try to give them the like the ammo in their fanboy arguments of like, yeah, but God of War won more overall awards. So it's worth talking about too. All that to say, that's another reason why I don't really care about the Game Awards, because it feels more like marketing than it does like actually trying to like award the game that did the thing the best.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, as a whole too, it feels like it's easy to, no, easy is the wrong word, but it feels like it's possible to build a game that has the best narrative and the best soundtrack and the best this, that, and the other, but just isn't necessarily the best game. Yeah, I don't know. Like, as somebody who didn't play God of War Ragnarok, so I'm not speaking from any kind of experience or whatever, but like, you know, I think we've talked about this before, where like it feels very similar to me.
Oscar bait.
Oscar bait. And like we've talked about before too, like it's kind of like the MCU sort of thing where it's like super focus tested. It's just like just a well-crafted experience, but just like isn't like, I'm glad Elden Ring won, because I feel like it was like, of the like big AAA games or whatever, it was at least like innovative and stuff in ways that like it tried to buck some trends.
I pushed back a little bit, but definitely more innovative than God of War for sure.
Yes, you were right, for sure, exactly. So yeah, I think just like that whole thing where it's like you can win the best narrative or the best action or whatever like that without necessarily it being like the most memorable, you know, experience and like life-changing or whatever, you know, not that every game has to be that, but like that's the point. Like Call of Duty, not every Call of Duty is like life-changing or whatever. It's just like, that's the game people want to play. And that's, you know, why it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
There was also like, I don't even remember what the game is, but like there's a game that was like nominated for like everything that I've never heard of before.
Oh, Plague Tale Requiem? Yeah.
No. It was something else. It was something else. It was like freaking like immortality or some crap like that. Yeah, like
I did hear good things about Immortality. I have very little concept of it. Like I want to say it's like an FMV kind of like choose your own adventure kind of story narrative game. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up though.
Yeah, I've never heard of that game in my life until yesterday. I heard about it a lot yesterday, but well, not about it because it didn't win anything. So, or it didn't win anything that I saw anyway. Immortality is an interactive film video game, blah 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 blah. So there you go. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm curious. In any case, I think generally awards wise, I don't put a whole lot of stock into a lot of it, but personally, I'm glad Elden Ring won over God of War at least. I didn't have really any dog in the fight other than that, I suppose. I know if I had played both of them, I would have preferred Elden Ring over God of War for whatever. You know. But yeah, there were some Nintendo announcements throughout the thing, such as, let me pull up the little article that has the ones in there that were there. So there's Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon, which is like prequel kind of thing in some regard to Bayonetta, which I'm pretty sure. So in Bayonetta 3, from the sounds of it, they created like it doesn't matter. I guess I won't get any spoilers. I know just a couple of bits, but it's a prequel. Looks fun. It looks really. Actually, that's not entirely true. I was going to say it looks really different for a Platinum Games game, but then I remember they did Wonderful 101.
I mean, it even looks
Beautiful
different.
Joe and stuff.
I would say it looks. I mean, it looks pretty different. Yeah, because even those games are action games. Like, I mean, in this game, like to some degree, I guess can be argued it's an action game, but it's not a Platinum Games action game. It looks. It definitely looks more like the indie, like RPG ish. Than their games typically do.
So curious how that one gets received and, you know, all that kind of thing. It doesn't. I'd have to watch the trailer again. I just caught a little bit of it this morning. So yeah, I'm not sure that it appeals to me specifically. Just the Bayonetta series as a whole, I don't really care that much about. So that.
I'll echo
But,
what Alex said, because I think that this also is true for you. He was like, "This is the Bayonetta game that interests me the most," and I think that would be true for you too. Just looking at the game, that doesn't necessarily mean that I think you should play it. But I think if you were going to play any Bayonetta game, this would be the one you would play.
Yeah. I'm pulling it up now to see, because I think this will be a determining factor. It's a $60 game. Oof, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't.
That feels like a mistake.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't pay $60 for that. I mean, that feels like them making an IP play more than like. The game. And granted, I don't know how long the game is, like, or like how much work went into the game or whatever. Exactly. But just based off the gameplay, it does not look like something I would pay $60 for. So.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll be curious to hear more things about it once it actually comes out. But yeah, Mark said looks like Okami a little. I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even along those lines, I mean, when it was new, I'm sure that was a full price game, and now it just happens to be a $15 game. But you know, so yeah, there's that one. But also Fire Emblem got this one. I was thinking. So I was trying to put myself in Nintendo's shoes and like, what trailers are they going to show? And I would love to see something for, obviously for Zelda or for Metroid or whatever, but was like, I don't see them doing that just because they don't have a huge presence at this. I mean, they won some awards for sure, but they didn't have.
They probably won. They didn't have Game of the Year contender this year.
Well, yes, Xenoblade 3 technically. I mean, that was.
Yeah, but I mean, like contender in the sense that like anybody actually thought it was going to win.
A legitimate contender.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it just seemed like if they're not going to be the ones stealing the show as a whole, then maybe not worth trying to steal it in commercials as well. You know, like just save it for their own Nintendo Directs instead, kind of a thing. Because in 2017 or even going back to 2014 where they announced Breath of the Wild, or didn't announce, but like where they first got to show off Breath of the Wild type stuff in Game Awards, that was like also when they were like out of the limelight by a good bit, and they were like just trying to get in anybody's good graces. I feel like. And so that was a great place to do it. But like at this point, they don't need that. They know they're going to have more fans show up to a Nintendo Direct. So many Nintendo fans are probably just like, I don't know, I'm not going to watch the Game Awards because I don't know if there's anything for me. And for Zelda, we also know that it's coming out in May. They're for sure going to have some kind of Direct, if not a general one, at least for the game with trailer, whatever, prior to that, and so they got plenty of time for that. But I was thinking before yesterday, I was like, Fire Emblem comes out in January, so like I wouldn't be surprised if there was something for that, and there was, even though I didn't realize it until looking through this article here. So that's cool, but it was like the DLC
or whatever.
And it looks like it's got stuff from Three Houses in it and maybe some other things. I don't know. I didn't look into it at all.
It has three Houses characters. It has what's her name? The Dragon Lady Tiki from the other Fire Emblem game. They has Fire Emblem characters that I noticed. And despite playing Fire Emblem games like here and there, like I played Awakening, I played Three Houses. I'm not a huge Fire Emblem fan. I'm just okay with its existence, and it's surprising in the fact that usually I wouldn't be with a game like that. Or not. That's a meme way to phrase it. Like, I don't care if RPGs exist. I'm okay with me playing it. It's a game that interests me infinitely more than most other RPGs would. But yeah, so, I know cool. Those characters are coming. I do not. I mean, I'm going to get the game. That's what I'm saving my other voucher for. But I'm probably not going to get the DLC.
Yeah, I didn't even get the DLC for Three Houses. I mean, especially with that one, because like I know that I could just play through it again one of the other routes. I don't know that I feel the need to get the DLC because I could just play it again,
right?
And have a whole new experience. So it's great that it's there for somebody that's going to do that. But
I don't know about.
Right, exactly. But
you might, because apparently you play based off of what I'm hearing from it. Because again, I didn't play through all the routes. You played like the worst one.
I heard that I played the best one from a lot of people, but
like
also
in terms of story complexity, basically is what I'm talking about. Like people like the character that you picked, but like the most interesting story is the one that you didn't pick.
I think it feels like it's maybe the least divisive story in that, well, divisive like character wise.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. I'm not, because in the trifecta of characters, there were definitely two that are kind of polar opposites, and I picked the one that's a bit more the middle row sort of thing. So yeah.
So I think that's what people are talking about, where it's like, yeah, he's middling, so the story in the grand scheme of things doesn't go as deep as like
I could see that
the other possibility.
Yes, Cal, I did pick Claude.
Yes,
the correct choice. And there.
I don't know that.
I just the guy who does his voice, I follow him on Twitter, and he's great.
Fair enough.
Joe Zieja, and so that's fun. That's always a nice, like, when you follow somebody, and it's, or like, the person behind the person is a good person. It's like always a nice win. But yeah, other things from the Game Awards for Nintendo stuff is that Nintendo won some awards, such as Bayonetta 3 for Best Action Game, Kirby and the Forgotten Land for Best Family Game, Splatoon 3 Best Multiplayer.
That's the most hyped thing. That's the thing I was the most hyped for. I was like, yo.
Yeah, what was it up against? I don't remember.
Hold on. I have it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Multiverses, Overwatch 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge.
Nice. Good job, Splatoon 3. Yeah. And Tears of the Kingdom won the award for most anticipated game, which is not surprising, but love to hear it.
I'm also happy, even though this is against the Nintendo slant of things, I'm just glad Arceus didn't win. Because I don't think Arceus deserves best best RPG or
best
whatever.
RPG.
It did not deserve that. Yeah. It's a good tech demo. It's great for teasing the future to come, but it is not game of the year in any category worthy.
I think for what it's worth, I have a soft spot growing for it as the ending of it fades away and the primary experience of it kind of lingers longer now in my brain. I think I like it. Like, I liked the beginning part of it so much, and then it was just so like kind of over it right at the end that was the taste that left.
See, the thing about it for me, which, I mean, we can have this, we'll have this larger conversation when we talk about the games that we're playing.
Yeah.
Because the way that I feel about Pokemon Legends Arceus, the further I get away from the game, was the first thing that had it in my mind where, like, I don't think Arceus is going to be a top 3 game of the year for me. But the more I play Scarlet, it's like, oh yeah, no, this game, I would have been very upset if it was the only game to come out this year. I'll say that.
Yeah, right.
But I do want to also mention another award that I was like, this is hype, even though like it was Content Creator of the Year because Ludwig won. I'm not a huge Ludwig fan in terms of like the videos that he makes and like all that. I don't really care about that. I just care that he supports the Smash community in a huge way. So I'm like, yeah, man, the Smash guy won.
That's awesome.
W.
Yeah, that is cool because so often it feels like it's the Rocket Leagues and League of Legends kind of people.
It's crazy to see one of the biggest content creators in the world being like, he found his start being a Smash Brothers commentator. That's the thing that's like, yeah, that's pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Otherwise, Game Awards wise, there were some other like announcements for games that let me pull it up. Where did it go? Like Earthblade, which is Metroidvania from people who made Celeste. And that's coming in 2024,
which is crazy.
Far away. Like, maybe don't bother mentioning it yet, because we can be excited about it later. This is just going to be, especially for indie games, like it's just going to be another
Blockbuster's game video will never not be relevant, and that makes me sad.
Yeah, exactly. So it's. Again, I think especially for indie games, and after I did the one of like the release dates and stuff like that of games and how long they take or whatever, and seeing when I was doing research and just the number of indie games that I just didn't mention because they'd been announced in an indie direct in 2017 and we haven't heard anything about them other than like we're still working on it at some point in like early 2021 or 2022 or something like that. I'm like, man, y'all just don't announce your games until it's like,
So I forgot
ready.
who said it. It was either Alec or somebody in the chat, but I was like, why would you, as an indie game, announce your game this early? And they're like, maybe for additional funding. And I was like,
honestly,
that's
yeah,
that's fair.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Yep.
Indies, y'all can get away with it. Y'all got it. But everybody else, I'm on your neck.
That's right. Yeah. And then otherwise, Hades 2 was announced. I don't remember if it said when that was coming out.
Hades is a game that everybody keeps telling me to play that I'm like, I don't really want to play because I don't really care about roguelikes. But also the other thing that like left a bad taste in my mouth personally is the fact that it's early access. Like that's stupid. Like
they did the same thing for Hades. I'm pretty well. Actually, no, that's not entirely true. It was on
Steam, right?
Epic's
the
Epic's game store for a year before it came out on Switch and Steam.
Which I think for the first game is more acceptable because nobody knew to care about the first game. Yep. But now it's like this phenomenon. So to have like to drag people along your development process is kind of annoying. IMO, but that's just me.
Yep. No, I mean, yeah, definitely agreed. Cool for the people that want to play. I played Hades, almost beat it, and then I was like, I've seen it as much as I feel like saying I'm good. And it was great. It was a good game. It was a great game. But it just didn't quite hook me the same way it did for other people or whatever. And that's fine. But yeah, I saw some people were really excited about that. So good on them. And otherwise, I think that's about most of it for the Game Awards and Nintendo that I can think of. Anything else for you?
Nah. I left the Game Awards not even really remembering them, to be honest. Outside of the specific things that won and like not that I care about the Bayonetta thing, but it did stick out to me because I was like, what the heck? Like they just came out with a game. Granted, Kamiya, who I don't like, was like teasing Bayonetta 4. I don't know if this was what he was referring to or if they're just like kicking up like their output now.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I was like, what even did they announce? Because I think there was like one game that I saw that I was like, I kind of want to play that. But I don't even remember what it was called.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I guess one other thing, though, that did come is we got a new trailer for the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And, well, it was a clip from the movie. And
I watched it. That's true.
I thought it was good. I'm more and more excited about. I mean, I was already excited about this movie, just like thinking Chris Pratt was going to be a silly part of it. But that aside, just like every time I see another thing for it, I am very excited to see it. I'm almost a little bit sad because, like, I mean, it's the start of this whole thing, so that's going to be great. But like right now, it feels like the possibilities are endless in terms of like experiencing the Mushroom Kingdom in a more, like, in a particular way. But once we see the movie, that's going to be all of it that we can experience. And it's not like a game where it's like, I mean, games are the same way too,
we might get DLC.
There's limited yeah, right, exactly. It's like there's limited scope that exists there. In a game there's like the end of a certain area that you get to or a wall or whatever. It's like that's it, that's where it stops. And a movie feels even more like that because like behind something you can imagine more things, but there's nothing there. That's everything, which is a silly way of saying that, but still I'm excited about it, but excited also to see, like, I would love just some concept of a roadmap of like what's coming after this and all that.
The phases. Give us
the phases.
Yeah, what's phase 1 of Nintendo movie land?
And I mean, it's going to be so much a slower rollout than like. I
mean, obviously, but like, will it be? Like it'll be a slower rollout than what we're seeing now with freaking phase 92,000 of the Marvel stuff, right? But like Marvel also started out like one movie here, another movie freaking 9 months later, and they've ramped up as time went on. I can see,
and also like they might have a Mario movie and then 3 years later have the Mario movie sequel, but in between they have tangential
the Donkey
things,
Kong movie,
the Donkey Kong movie, the Yoshi movie, whatever, Captain Falcon movie or something.
That'd be nuts. But yeah, every time. So it's funny because it's this whole like like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but maybe 5 steps forward. 5 steps forward, 1 step back. Every time I see a trailer, I'm like, I like so much about this. And then every time Chris Pratt speaks, I'm like, I like this less. Because it's just like, he just does not sound like he's good. It's like, it's not, because when I hear people complain about Chris Pratt's Mario, it's always through the lens of like, he doesn't sound like Mario. I just don't like that he sounds like he's phoning it in. Right. Like when his wahoo, like wahoo. I'm like, all right, bro. I'm like,
he's got to stay cool. He can't be seen as wahoo.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be.
He sounds like an actor that is acting in a movie. Like pretending to act as like the freaking like Thor like plays. Like that is the vibes that I'm getting from him every time I hear his Mario.
That's really funny.
And it makes me sad. But everybody else, and I mean Peach, my problem with Peach is she like is more closer to the complaints that I'm usually hearing from people about Mario. Where it's like, it doesn't sound like Mario. It just doesn't give me Peach vibes. She just sounds like a different character. Like she feels more like if she was Daisy, I'd be like, all right,
or like Rosalina,
I could buy
something.
that. Yeah, like specifically Daisy, because I feel like her Peach kind of is like more on the like like just headstrong sort of like, I'm here, we're fighting, I'm bringing it to your front door. Whereas like Peach is more like reserved than that, That's really the only thing that it kind of like, I'm like, I don't know about Peach, but everybody else killed it. And I don't even think that the Peach is bad. I just don't think the Peach gives me Peach vibes, which is like a different thing. I would rather Chris Pratt's Mario like not give me Mario vibes and it just be good than for him to like be Mario but like not even try. Like that's my issue with it. But I do think that the movie overall is going to be good. And like I don't know if this is at large people's complaint or if this is a complaint that's coming from people, but I saw Mark, he tweeted something about like apparently people are like complaining about like Mario not being good at being Mario, like because it's like the whole thing.
Right. Yeah.
Are people complaining about it? Because I think that's a stupid complaint.
I've definitely seen. Well, I've seen people talking about people that are complaining about it. So I don't know that I've experienced it firsthand, but like maybe I've seen it a little bit firsthand. But yeah, like this is an origin story, and like he's not gonna be good at like maybe he's the best plumber in the world, but like he's not gonna be great at like jumping around and stuff just right off the bat. And like still in this context, a little bit silly to imagine truly that that he would ever be that great at doing that in some regards, because like he is just a plumber from Brooklyn.
The thing that's crazy
why would
to
he
me
be better at jumping and punching? But
I personally haven't seen this complaint, so I can't see the tone of the complaint. But like if this was like a Metroid movie and Samus was just badass, people like, I guess they didn't even sell to me that she would be good, and but because it's Mario, it's like why is he not a god? Stupid. I hate people.
I mean, because every time we see him do stuff, he's been doing it for a while. This is the first time he's having a I mean, then again, like when you take Mario 1-1 as the like example of this, literally. I mean, there's like just some blocks there and a Goomba. More people have died on that Goomba than any other thing in Mario combined. Yeah, maybe not combined, but like individually. And that's the origin of Mario. That's the first thing he ever did. So like Mario was bad at the beginning. Example, like, he died to that Goomba.
Some people
which is
have
just
never gotten past that level.
Enemy.
Like think about that.
Yeah, right.
Some people died multiple times on that level and never played the game again.
Yep. So if in their world, like if we're getting just like the median Mario across the board, then Mario towards that part is just generally very, very bad at things. But then he gets better, and that's great.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for the movie. I think the movie's going to be good. I think Chris Pratt is going to be bad, but everything else is going to be good.
I'm looking forward to it. Should be
Same.
Yeah, and we thought we could maybe be looking forward to Call of Duty coming to Nintendo. I mean, not personally looking forward to, but and maybe we can, but maybe we can't. There's been some interesting stuff on this week. It's somewhat Nintendo related, but also somewhat not.
I'm mad about this. I think
ready.
that like people are freaking like some people go out the deep end about the like consolidation of like this sort of thing. I think it's weird
I agree.
regarding video games specifically because like the idea of monopolizing IP is ridiculous to me. It is very stupid. It is very dumb.
I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Like it's nobody cared about Call of Duty until they did. And like with this idea, it's like I can't make Call of Duty. Medal of Honor exists, you know, like or whatever the like thing that people were jacking heavy before Call of Duty. I get honestly more excited when stuff like this happens when like a studio like Microsoft, because I think everybody wins. Like even if like so if Sony did this. Sony wouldn't be buying this and trying to make it forever. They wouldn't be trying to bring it to the Nintendo Switch. I guarantee you that.
Right. Yeah.
But even if Sony did it, you would assume if they spent $70 billion on a thing, they plan to do something not only with that thing, but better with that thing that the person that had it before them wasn't doing. And that pushes everybody else to compete with that thing. So the people that already care about Call of Duty get a better Call of Duty. And the people that care about Call of Duty but don't want to go over the Xbox have a reason to pressure Sony to make a thing to compete with Call of Duty, and then they get a thing, and then maybe people will move back and forth. Maybe it's like in their prime anyway, like an NBA Live versus 2K sort of situation, where some people prefer one year, and then people prefer the other one another year because they saw, oh shoot, they ate our lunch last year, we got to do better next time, you know, like. And on top of that, it's not like a particularly greedy company bought a like indie studio or whatever and then turned them into like a particularly greedy company. We're talking about a greedy company being acquired by like a less greedy company, in my opinion, like in terms of the game industry. Like, so if anything, I feel like the practices that Activision is known for will have to be lessened. Like, not only do more people get more games in this instance, like the very direct example of like Nintendo fans now getting Call of Duty for at least 10 years, you know, whereas now we're not going to get Call of Duty in any other universe because they tried it and then they stopped very publicly. I don't know. I just think the complaint is stupid. And I think that Sony is like everything they do makes me hate them more. Like everything they do.
It's weird too, because like the context of like the exact details or whatever for anybody who doesn't know is so Microsoft planning to buy Activision, and through that Sony is really mad because they're saying like, well, with Activision, then Call of Duty, for example, probably that's the main one that they care about, or that seems to be the only one that they're actively like picking apart. But Call of Duty, which is a huge cash cow for PlayStation and Sony specifically,
right?
You know, maybe we'll still, you know, maybe we'll become exclusive, maybe we'll lose access to it, any of that kind of stuff. So they're fighting tooth and nail to make sure that Microsoft cannot buy Activision, and they're just bringing up all sorts of things. So Microsoft this week through Phil Spencer said that we're going to bring, if the deal goes through, we're going to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo platforms for 10 years, and basically said like, Sony, if you want to talk to us, we do that for you too.
Yeah,
you know, but like, obviously showing that they didn't talk to them. So it was that originally the conversations were going on in Europe. Now the conversation is going on in the US, and the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, is talking about it. And this is like the newest point in this article too, is that the FTC points to Microsoft's acquisition of Bethesda and says that the U.S. company decided to make several upcoming Bethesda games, such as Starfield and Redfall, Xbox exclusive, despite assurance it had given to European antitrust authorities that it would not withhold games from rival consoles. Blah, blah, blah.
Which it's not. It's not doing. It's literally not doing that. Like withholding games would be Doom. If the Doom Eternal follow-up comes out and that doesn't come on PlayStation, that's withholding. That's like taking something away that they had before. But making a new IP is an entire different thing. Like that would be like Microsoft fighting them tooth and nail for Bungie because Bungie made Halo for them at one point.
Right.
Like Sony just bought Bungie. They just did it. What about Spider-Man? Like, they don't own anything except for the film rights, which is a whole nother can of worms, about Spider-Man. They don't make Spider-Man, but they literally withhold Spider-Man from every other platform. Microsoft's not even trying to do that. Microsoft is literally committing to giving them the game, despite the fact that they're paying for the property. So it's like I just think they're giant hypocrites. Like, it does not make sense to me that like Sony isn't even the type of company to do what Xbox is proposing to do. But they're basically like projecting. They're like, if we owned Activision, we would make sure that nobody else ever saw another Activision game again. So that's what they're clearly going to do to us. Like, but they've already.
It's like
shown.
a toxic person that's just like, trying to. I agree. It's ridiculous.
It's stupid. I think the company's garbage.
And also, for what it's worth, the difference, even Elder Scrolls as an example, like Elder Scrolls, Starfield, Redfall, whatever. The difference between those and Call of Duty is like, I don't think they can point to one as being the same as the other. Like, sure, they could, like, I feel like FTC could even make them do a thing where it's like, and Call of Duty will stay, on all consoles for whatever, something like, if it really is just about Call of Duty, then do that. But like, don't point to these ones as if like, ooh, but look what you did. Like Redfall, that's not coming to Sony. It's like, who wants to play Redfall? I mean, like, people want to play Redfall, but it's going to have like, if it weren't on Game Pass and it was just selling in general, it would have a couple million sales,
if
tops,
that,
and that's
if
it.
that.
Right, exactly. And so like, and even Starfield is like this, like, very anticipated game and stuff like that, but could easily not sell nearly the amount that Skyrim did or whatever. Like Skyrim is, sure, that's like the template for some of these things, but like how much. I'm sure Fallout 4 has sold a lot of units. I don't know if it's like, okay, hang on, we're just gonna find out.
It's a lot. Fallout 4 is a lot. I'll say that. But Fallout 4 is also like a at this point known quantity.
So yeah, it's Fallout 4 sold 13 million, which is like great, but that's still not like console defining numbers or whatever, as compared to like, Pokemon Legends Arceus sold close to that much. So it's or more than that at this point. So it's just like, and that's across like all the different platforms, and also the game being $5 at various points in time and stuff too. So it's just like, as far as using that as this, like, I mean, that's not one of the ones that's being used, but using even Starfield as, an example like that is just not the flex that they seem to think it is. I think, yeah.
I think the whole situation's stupid. And it makes me not like Sony even more, because I already didn't for things like this.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to keep an eye on. But some companies are just jerks about certain things, and sometimes Nintendo can be jerks about things. Like they took down Did You Know Gaming video that, in my opinion, they should not have taken down. That's the whole thing. Okay, so long story short of it, it's a game called Heroes of Hyrule that Retro Studios had pitched back in like 20 years ago, back in like 2002 or something like that. And it was a really good video. I watched it a while ago, and month ago or so, whenever it came out. And they had gotten just a bunch of information from people who worked at Retro Studios, were on the project, and felt like, at this point, because it was a pitch to Nintendo especially, that like probably the time, whatever, the window of time, what's the actual term for it?
The statute of limitations.
Yeah, that's the one. Statute of limitations on it. Feel like probably that's done, so they can go ahead and start sharing some stuff on it. So they did, and Nintendo took down the video. And I don't know that here. I haven't like yeah, Did You Know Gaming says they're exploring all available options to restore the video. And I don't know that we have any kind of statement from Nintendo other than just a copyright strike against Did You Know Gaming, and it took down the video, and that's it. But I think it's lame, because like, it's literally just investigative journalism. And like, somebody shared something. I don't know. Seems weird to me.
Yeah. I'm conflicted because it's like, the game industry already, like just across the board, is significantly more secretive than any other industry in entertainment. Like movies, you know, damn near the entire plot of a movie 3 years before they shoot it.
Yeah,
like, but for video games, it's like you may never know about like a game like a game could be done. A game could have been finished 10 years ago, but got canceled because some nebulous thing, some fallout or whatever, right? And we would never know it existed, but they feel owed that because that's just how the industry works. So that's how the industry should work in their head. So like on that end, it's like whatever. But also it's like, it's the same thing as like, let's say, and granted, I know that people are not going to like buy into this because like big corporation versus like independent at this point company, because like did you know gaming is not just one dude, it is like at this point a company. It's, let's say, a did you know gaming video that they canned and they didn't want to come out. They posted the video. Like say anybody found this, say one dude found this like small company's video and it's 10 years ago, but they never posted the video and they posted it. How do you think Did You Know Gaming would feel about that? Not great. But because corporation, people see that and they're like, oh, it's corporation and I want to know this information, so this information is fine. And me, I also found that video interesting, so I'm glad that the video exists, but I'm not going to try to get moral high groundy about it because I can see both arguments. Like I think that both like have merit. I think that I value the like the idea of intellectual property being a thing and that, like, not anybody can like take advantage of, and we'll get to that with the, because again, well, we talked about it before the show. Again, Patreon, you'll get to hear the pre-show situation. But I do think that this is related, like the reception to this is related to the reception of the Smash Brothers drama, where it's just like, it's just a bunch of people that are like acting in their own interests, us included, and like placing morals behind those interests. Where like for Nintendo in this situation, it's like, well, it's RIP. We didn't want people to know that. If we wanted people to know that, they would know, right? But on our end, it's like, well, we want to know, and that's cool. And investigative journalism, and like that's the thing in other places. Like if a journalist finds a scoop, it is just like culturally accepted that they should be able to run with that. And as somebody that went to school for media and journalism, I agree. But also, I also understand the argument that they don't want their, like, it's just a slippery slope. It's like if I let you leak this, you know.
It's interesting too, because the difference between this and like they didn't take down the Did You Know Gaming video on that Chic game,
and there's a lot of Did You Know Gaming videos,
and so the interesting difference between those two is probably that I think this one, it's been a while since I watched the video, so I don't remember this part of the details, but I think had some amount of back and forth with Nintendo, or like it was, whereas like the Chic one, I'm pretty sure was literally just like they worked on stuff within Retro Studios, came up with ideas, whatever, and then pitched it, and Nintendo said no.
Right. And
so there's that.
What is this?
Probably this one
had this game. What was the game exactly for this one?
It was like a strategy game. I'm pretty sure it was it was like a Final Fantasy Tactics kind of strategy game.
Like the last time a prominent example of this happened, right? It was the Metroid thing. It was the Metroid Samus Return thing. And they ended up making a game about that. And like usually, from what I've seen in my experience, from covering Nintendo for the past like 5, 6, 7 years,
they'll take down stuff.
Takedown is indicative of them working on something related to that.
Which would be great. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
So like, and that's not to say like this absolves them of that or feel good about it because maybe blah blah. Like this isn't to say that, but at the same time, like you gotta the fault gets dispersed to more than just that one party, because it's partially the way that the copyright law works in general, where if they do plan to make something related to this thing, and then a bigger corporation, somebody that like more people would look at and say freaking Microsoft made a game and they copied that game bar for bar, us normal people would look at that and be like, that's BS. right? But the copyright law does not distinguish between Joe Schmo making indie game and mega corporation making game that also copied the thing. They're like, well, you didn't squash small indie guy. Why should we defend you against big corporation? They're both copying you. What's the difference? Yeah. You know, like the law doesn't differentiate between those things. So they can't differentiate those things because it's a use it or lose it sort of idea with copyright law. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's just everybody acting in their own interest, and your interest doesn't align with their interest. And I mean, again, same, but like, I just think it's weird, and again, a slippery slope to attach morals to something like this, because like arguing from whichever perspective, you can argue morality on both sides.
I'd be most interested to know, I think, what the legal stipulations are on the back end of the person like who used to be at Retro that shared this stuff in the first place, because like if they're legally allowed to share it, like wherever that stood, then I feel like this should be allowed to exist. If they weren't, like if it was technically still under NDA for in perpetuity, then I feel like then this shouldn't have existed. And it's like, again, cool that we know it now for us, but like, then it should have been allowed. And so I think the way that the video had framed it was that like, yeah, this person who worked there, you know, said that they felt comfortable sharing it or whatever, but is that they felt comfortable because it's like, that's dumb that I am not allowed anymore, or because it's like,
and at the end of the day,
I just didn't out of being nice and now I will.
This like, is like journalism. So in theory, as I understand it, granted, understanding of fair use is nebulous for everybody because it is not a law. It's not a law. Like the one thing that I talk about, or used to talk about a decent amount, and after it like proliferated and it became annoying, was like the media company for Pokemon. I wish that on the level of like, well, Pokemon's the biggest media franchise, that people adopted is like how to look at fair use. It's not a law. It's not a law. It's not a law. Like, if your defense is fair use, then be ready to go to court about it. And if you'll win, you'll win. And then you have your video, and like obviously they're like small guy, Nintendo, big corporation. Even if they win, it's going to hurt them way more than it would hurt Nintendo. So and it's way harder for them because Nintendo has a whole legal system. Like that's going to take away from their output in other areas because they have to dedicate manpower to fighting that case. I get that, but if your argument is like it's fair use, that's how that's where your argument lies. Like it's in the court. It's not in theory. It's not like you're not going to tug at their heartstrings by being like, it's fair use. Don't you feel bad about that? Nintendo or any other corporation on the planet, if you're arguing to them fair use, they're like, oh, it's fair use. Bet. Let's see. Let's see if it's fair use. They're going to call your bluff. And I think it is. I think it's fair use. But again, it's not up to us to decide that. It's not up to Nintendo to decide that. It's not up to Did You Know Gaming to decide that. It's up to the courts to decide that. And that's just how the law works. Be mad at the law. Like this is a don't hate the player, hate the game situation for sure.
Yeah. So there it is. It's interesting because I'm sure all this other information, I mean, all the information now exists in other places too. So it's like, at this point, kind of why bother? But
Streisand
other than,
effect.
just like showing, just like showing your hand or whatever, or, showing power and stuff. So, but I mean, like you said, hopefully that means that it's that they've got something in the works, or at least want to have something in the works for it or something.
Granted, again, I don't want that to be the takeaway because I don't want to like pat them on the back for that, especially if they're not in the right legally or whatever. And even that, the people are going to like argue and be like, well, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. I agree. Obviously, look at me, dude, look at me. Of course, I agree with that. The history demands me to agree with that. But at the end of the day, it's like, if what you're arguing, if your argument is based in law, you're surrendering the ability to like with any level of like authority argue that the law doesn't matter because you're using the law as your argument. It can't be your argument, your defense, your like it can't be everything for you, like you gotta decide on that end. Like if you're arguing for law, if you're arguing for morals, guess what? Morality and law are like the argument is, it's not the same thing. So
Yeah.
that's that. And then
Yep. Speaking of morality, Panda.
so Dr. Allen,
I don't know the latest on this, so yeah, fill me in.
he
Alan's
released
gone.
a huge statement, 31 pages. I read through most of it. I don't think he's necessarily wrong in like the big picture, but the way he went about what he did is what he's wrong about. So we know the whole thing of like him going around and strong arming all these different like tournament organizers and basically saying like, yo, if y'all don't come with us, you're going to get shut down, point blank period. Which him doing that and basically like mob bossing everybody while like going on these tours of being like, yo, I'm gonna get Daddy Nintendo on you, not good. But he's not wrong because like just like this situation and any other situation that Nintendo gets litigious about, or any other situation in the past that has the Smash community feel the way that they feel about Nintendo in the first place, it's usually when it gets called to their attention, when they're like, this is a legal concern, we know about it, if we don't pursue it, what happens if something worse happens and we want to pursue that, you know? It's that sort of situation. It's like them being involved means that they can't argue ignorance anymore. They can't say like, oh, we didn't know what was going to happen, because they co-signed the circuit, you know? They're co-signing the scene now. They are making money and spending money on the scene. So like them being in the Panda Cup, whether it be intentional on Panda or Alan's end or not, still means that like an increased microscope is on every event now. That's a part of the scene. So Alan's argument was basically him saying that like he was trying to like rein the community in because like I don't know how much you know, but I mean, I'm sure you know some of it. Yeah. The Smash community, pretty cursed, pretty cursed community. Not exactly the most marketable community in the world. Literally, the tournament that they threw as like a FU to Nintendo of like, we're a Smash community, we're going to do what we do. The Melee tournament champion, Mango, his I won the tournament tweet was him deep throating a trophy of winning the children's video game. That's a great spokesperson to have in a game that's stamped by a giant children's corporation, you know, like, so like, I get it. I get why, like, not only does Nintendo, like, are they hesitant to get involved, but when they do get involved, they like hammer, like, they slam the hammer down because they need to. There needs to be, like, some sort of, like, a governing body to make sure that this video game that is played by people of all ages is, like, not funneled. It needs to be like not saying that adults can't play or kids can't play or anything like that. There it needs to be like either what Pokemon does, where they have what's it called? Divisions. They have divisions. It's like they put the kids with the kids, the teenagers with the teenagers, and the adults with the adults. You know, because like. That's just how you prevent things like what happened in 2020 from happening. Yeah. And also you have to, police isn't the best word in the world to use for this, but you gotta police the way that your like figureheads and players talk about the video game on the internet, because it is not a good look for Nintendo to be like, congrats to champion winner at C9 Mango, and the tweet that they retweet of him celebrating that he won is him deep throating the trophy that he got. Yeah, like let's be for real. Like, come on. Like, I like understand that the Smash community wants to be like these lawless rebels so bad, but at the end of the day, they are playing a game about freaking Mario and Kirby fighting. Yeah, you know, like. Yeah. Let's be serious here, you know?
Man. So what's the latest in terms of, so now is the Panda Cup still happening? Is the other ones gone?
Alan's out. That was basically the scorched earth, F y'all, I'm gone, but here's my take on the situation. Yeah. Panda is gutted, basically. Pretty much like 90% of their workforce or something like that just dipped. But they do still plan to hold the Panda Cup.
Like they left or they got fired?
They left. They left.
Wow, yeah.
Now I don't know if they're going to be able to like stop the bleeding there a little bit and like convince some people to come back, because they did commit to either helping people find new opportunities or helping them feel better about their opportunity that they currently already have with Panda. They have like an interim like a management group until they can find a new CEO. Alan was he offered to, or not offered, but he's actively or he's selling his shares in the company, or wants to sell his shares in the company. So if somebody's going to buy them, they're for sale. That is happening. They're postponing the Panda Cup because, again, they don't have the staff to run it, and people are not going to watch it. And there was like threats made to the Panda employees that if they ran the event, people that doxed Alan were going to dox the other employees.
Wow.
So yeah, like when Nintendo said health and safety and when Panda said that in their statement about like, yeah, we're postponing for health and safety. Yes. And that, I mean, that goes back to, yes, the Smash community is pretty cursed. And there's people in the Smash community, the people that are like, you know, like the, not Coney's not a good, like the EEs or whoever, like the Smash figureheads that are like, that wear the F Nintendo on their chest, but they're also like, all right, but you guys are taking it too far. Like, no, like you're on the same side as those people. Like you're taking the same stance as them. They're just being more extreme about it. Like the thing is, like at the end of the day, whether Nintendo is getting involved or not, the things that Nintendo wants in terms of like how the players carry themselves and like the professionalism and all that other stuff should exist in the scene anyway. That like the fact that Smash carries itself in this way is why 2020 happened. Is because they think that they should be able to do whatever they want because they're good at pressing buttons in the video game. And that's not the case. Like somebody needs to wrangle that in. As somebody that loves Smash and wants the community to be able to like thrive and like have as many events as possible, and I don't want the like vibe of the events to be too like prim and proper, but at the end of the day, I'm also aware that like every week at my local, there's like an 11-year-old that is also playing the video game, you know, like luckily for him, and I'm glad that this is a thing, his dad is always there. That's not the case for most of these children, especially like the like notable ones. Like MK Leo, again, is like a good example of one of the like better situations where his brother would go to every tournament he went to. But somebody like Zero, who's been in the scene, or you know, he's out now because cursed.
Was he 2020?
Yeah. A very prominent example of 2020. Very prominent example of that. He was coming from Chile by himself as a small child. You know, like,
oh my goodness, yeah.
That's not the optics of that aren't great. So yeah, no, they need to grow up as a scene. The scene needs to grow up. I think that Nintendo being involved is the best way that we can make that happen, because they have the vested interest to make it happen, and they have experience in literally making it happen. Because they.
Do you think we're gonna come out the other side with? I mean, still with the prominent Smash scene and all that stuff, or like will all this stuff kind of?
So I think with the current like figureheads of Smash want is that they basically go back to square one, and worst case scenario, it's just people going to other people's houses and playing the video game like that, you know. But I think the actual best case scenario, and if you have a brain, you should want this, is that they figure it out with Nintendo. And ideally, because they already ironed out all the details and got the deal with Panda gets his stuff together. We got Alan out, so that there was retribution there. The Smash community has saw some form of blood. Now we need to grow from here, and the only way to do it is to deal with the bad actors that are still here. Like the stuff that Nintendo is like litigious about in this regard, outside of the IP, which even the IP I think is like a compromise that you have to make if you want them to be a part of the thing. Like obviously they don't want you they don't want Mango to be the representative of Falco. You know what I mean? Like, if they got mad at Bob for wearing a Mario hat and flipping off the camera, like, they don't want the representative of Falco deep throating his trophy.
Yeah.
And despite, again, being an adult, every once in a while stuff like that is funny. I do think that it's super cursed for people to be doing that in sight of children. You know, like, I think that's crazy. Right. Like, that's not okay, and it shouldn't be seen as okay, and it shouldn't be fought for like it's okay. And the Smash situation, I think the Smash community needs to grow up, and if it takes Nintendo to force them to grow up, so be it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, we'll see how all that goes. And all that. But in the meantime, we're playing games, which is a segue and a half. You know, you never heard a better one. Here we are. This is kind of news, kind of games we're playing, but Mario Kart DLC came out this week. So I played each of those tracks once.
I didn't even consider turning that game on.
Ashley and I played them like just 2 nights ago. The night that they came out, I guess. And they're really good. It's a good, it's a good one. But we also haven't been playing Mario Kart a whole lot.
Did you mess with the custom item situation at all?
I didn't, but I think that's cool that it's there. But I don't know that we would anyway. But I do think it could be fun to, I don't know, for some people to make challenge videos or something like that too. Like that, I could see some like content creation purposes for not us or me with that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know that I'm ever actually going to use it specifically. But it's all cool stuff. Yeah, I like the courses. Some of the ones that are like already, Rock Mountain is up there. Maple Treeway obviously is real good. I like the Christmas level. The new Christmas level was really good. And DS Peach Gardens. And there might have been 1 or 2 others that were particularly good. But I mean, that's a bunch that are good. So
nice. Sounds
you
like
love
most
to see it. But yeah, sounds like most of them. But yeah, that's some of what I'm playing this week. Otherwise, I've played very, very little this week, but I played a tiny bit of Pokemon last night, and it's fun. I like it. Just would love to have more time in life and play it more. So one of these days. But yeah, what about you?
Mostly just Pokemon. I played Smash a little bit, so there's this thing. All right. I played Smash. I saw like a clip of something Puppet did, and Puppet Smash Pokemon trainer from Virginia. He freaking did this crazy 3-stock comeback and killed somebody with Charizard at like 30. And I was like, I gotta play Smash. So I played some Smash and I did all right. And then a few days after that, I like raided out to Joy-Cons, who is a friend of the community. She plays Smash Brothers. She plays other stuff, but she plays Smash Brothers a lot. I raided her, and then she was like, yo, because she was doing an open arena. She was like, yo, you should play. And I was like, I can't play. I'm washed. I haven't played this game in weeks. I haven't played this game since Pokemon came out. She was like, no, you should play. She was like, you're good. I was like, all right, fine. So I played it, and then I didn't lose a game, and I was like, I gotta go.
Nice.
I was like, I gotta go, because you guys go and think that I was like lamp shading, and I was not. I just assumed that the level of play here was a little bit higher than that. And like I've been saying, it's kind of like what I'm usually talking about, like when I'm like, I need to get better at this game. It's like I'm talking about I need to get better to be able to compete with people that are like on my level or better. The people that are like under my level, or even like just reaching my level, I will always, and this is what I'm like always talking about. I can not play the game for 5 years straight, and I'll still be able to hang with them, because most of why I'm beating them is because mentally I know like I should be here at this time and blah blah blah. Like these people are not the ones that are going to abuse like small inconsistencies, or like they're not going to notice like, oh, he's not teching. He's not teching. So like because not only will they be not consistently be able to put me in a situation where I have to tech, they're not going to notice when I don't. and punish me for it. But the people that are on my level and better are watching for that stuff, and they do see like, oh, he didn't attack, I'm going to blow him up for it. So that's what I was assuming when I was like, I'm washed, I'm not going to be able to like play this. But I'm still feeling like that. I'm feeling a little better because like in some ways taking a break makes me better at the game, because it makes it like takes me out of like muscle memory for bad habits, so I'm able to like make it more of a cerebral thing easier without relying on muscle memory. It's like, oh, I visually see that this is happening, I should actively think to do this thing. But the parts of it that are like
you unlearn bad stuff just by happenstance.
Not even by happenstance, just like actively. It's all about the muscle memory, because like the muscle memory is what holds me back usually in this regard, where it's like stuff that I know in my head I shouldn't do, I'm not actively thinking when I do most of the muscle memory stuff. So that stuff is easier to unlearn when you haven't played for a while. But what you don't want to unlearn is the general game, like universal situation stuff of like, you're going to have to attack at some point. You're like that sort of stuff. Like you're going to have to spot dodge certain attacks. If your reflexes aren't there, then it's going to be harder to deal with those situations. So it's like this give and take. It's like you gotta like kind of like you improve in some areas, which is why like when I play the game, I'm still winning more than I lose. But it's just like, it's frustrating because it's like I'm in this like moment where I'm like, I improved so much in these ways without playing the game, but I got so much worse at the thing that I've always just not even thought about and been good at. So it's like that whole thing. That said, I don't really plan to play Smash Brothers like that much anyway. I still am in Pokemon. And I have no real reason to play Smash Brothers because, again, I mean, even without all the panda stuff, the season is like ending, you know, like the year's wrapping up. So there's nothing to like play toward. I mean, there's a tournament. I'm not going to it because it's in California and I'm not. There's other stuff I want to do next month. But yeah, no, like there's stuff happening, but there's no like greater purpose that there was like like this year when the year started, there was Smash World Tour. So it was like, okay, watching and grinding for that is a thing. Panda Cup also, but this year there's nothing like that, so it's like I'll play Smash when I feel like playing Smash, but there's no real reason to play Smash outside of that. But apart from that, I'm playing Pokemon.
Makes sense.
And what I was talking about before with Legends Arceus is and what I'm realizing with this game is like so much of this game, the gameplay loop, there's multiple gameplay loops and they're all cyclical and they all feed into each other.
At this point, what's the main, like in terms of post game and stuff like that? Like, I don't know that they were, like what are you doing? You know, in the game, there's terror raid battles and stuff. Obviously,
the main thing that I am doing, which again, like I was telling, everything funnels in. Ultimately, everything funnels into competitive. Everything funnels into doing VGC stuff. Gotcha. Because like you shiny hunt, so you can get cool Pokemon, so that you know, like you have shinies on your team. You do raids so that you can get Pokemon with higher IV. So maybe you can either use them or breed those Pokemon to again maybe get shinies that have high IV, so that you can use them in competitive. You know, like all of that stuff funnels into competitive. So like I'm doing all of those things. I'm shiny hunting, I'm making sandwiches, I'm freaking doing raids with friends so that I can build teams, so that I can climb the ladder in VGC. And VGC feeds into that cycle because when you win, you get rewards like bottle caps and LP, so that you can like buy more vitamins and that sort of stuff, so that you can build more teams for future VGC seasons. So I'm basically doing that.
That makes sense to me. I think like, because in some ways I had thought or could see thinking like, once you've completed the Pokedex, then and you've beaten all the story and stuff, like then you've got all the things. But the thing that it reminds me of is like, I'd like to finish my Pokemon card collection of the the original base expansion, Fossil and Jungle, and like I'm pretty close in some of those. But even then, I can see myself where once I've gotten the rest of the cards that I'm missing, there's some of them where it's like, well, but that one is like, these ones are really good quality and like in good shape and stuff. But then like the Nidoking I have is in Japanese, or like this Clefairy's like super beat up or whatever, to where like I could see similarly where it's like getting shiny versions stuff or getting like,
there's always a
ones
now
or whatever.
what?
It's like, exactly. Yeah, it's like you have the baseline full collection of all the Pokemon, but then you could also get like the full collection of Pokemon where all of them are shinies or all of them, you know, like living decks, stuff like that, or I don't know, that kind of thing. So I can,
because the thing is, like,
I think that all makes sense.
People think about Pokemon, well, people that like are less into Pokemon, and I don't mean that as like fake fan. I just mean like you're not playing Pokemon like this. Like they think of it as different ways to play, but it's not really different ways to play. It's just playing it less. It's just stopping short of doing all of the things. But the game is designed for you to like engage with all of the things on some level. Some people just want a shiny hunt and they just want their living decks, and then they stop there. But the intent of the game is like catch every Pokemon and catch all of them shiny if you want, so that you can build teams with all these different Pokemon. And then once you build a team, maybe you want a physical attacking version of this, maybe you want a like bulky version of this, maybe you want a defensive version, maybe you want special attack, you know. So like the game, like in a lot of different, and now with Terra types and stuff like that, the game incentivizes you to collect, to train, to trade, to battle, to collect, to train, to trade, to battle, you know, like recycle. And that is the part of like Arceus that is like very much so missing. Like the game stops you at collecting. It's like once you collect, you have nothing to do with the collection, but just look at it and be like, yeah, man,
which
I got this shiny.
Like, which I think that's, you know, that's just an interesting thing, because for me, everything else is superfluous past that kind of. And like for Legends Arceus, I didn't even. If I had more time, I probably would have, but I didn't even fully collect. Exactly.
You get there and then you're satisfied.
It feels like a perfectly full experience.
Right.
But you know, also that's just the way that you and I often play games, where like I'll finish one and like set it aside and then move on to the next one, which like you do with some games, but then like also have Smash, so you play all the time. And I just don't really have any games that are like that. So it's,
I have.
It is interesting how that give and take.
If I like a game, I usually like look for what the intent is really. And Pokemon's intent, although I don't like the gameplay, I do not like the gameplay. And this is the thing, like people hear me, if you ever see me stream Pokemon competitive, I'm complaining the entire time, but it's because I like Pokemon that I'm like, well, this is what they give me, so this is what I'm going to engage with. The thing about me with Pokemon is like I just like want to engage with it as much as the game will allow me to engage with it. And that's the case for other like single player games that just end. If I like them enough to just be done with them when I'm done with, like Breath of the Wild is a good example. Like I'm going to do all that the game lets me do. It's usually a fail, in my opinion. It's a failure of the game for me to want to stop short of what the game is trying to offer me. With Pokemon, it's like I actively want to engage with all of it. There's no part of me that like is happy about like with Arceus. It's like, okay, I don't care about getting the shiny in this game because like I'm not going to use it. I can't use it. The game refuses to let me use it. So what's the point? So I even stopped short of the game where it stopped short because like the bigger picture of Arceus was very limited.
I mean, I could see that again, kind of like with Hades with me, where it's like I stopped short of actually beating the final boss because I was like, I know there's more things to do in this case, but they're just not things that I care about doing any more of. So like I've got the full picture and I'm like good to move on. So like
and that's where our difference is, because like you'll be happy about that. Like I'll stop short all the time, but a lot most times I'm not happy about it. I'm like disappointed in the game for making me want to stop short of like what the game is trying to be. And that's where I am Arceus, where it's like, I mean, granted, I could like, even if I went through it and I experienced everything, I would still feel like that because it's still limited in comparison. Whereas like Pokemon, you could very feasibly, like easily, not even like try like a regular main series Pokemon game, you could spend thousands of hours playing the game and it not feel repetitive because it gives you natural reasons to continue to play the game. And that is an experience that I think, regardless of the fact that some people stop short of that, is worth maintaining, because the difference is you have the agency to be like, I'm going to stop here, but you being fine with, I'm going to stop here, hard walls people that don't feel like I'm gonna stop here, you know, which feels a lot worse, you know. That's why it's like, for me, Arceus, I'm glad that it's a stopgap. I'm glad that it was them figuring it out. But if it was just, here's this game to play for this year or 6 months or however long they say to play it, I wouldn't be happy with that. Because, I mean, one, it costs the same amount. And two, they make as big a deal about it. So, like, my expectations are similar. It's made by the same studio that makes these big games and all that other stuff. Granted, again, with Arceus specifically, because that was a thing that I saw the writing on the wall, frame one. I was like, this is them figuring it out. I'm happy about that. I'll invest in that. That's cool. But the whole thing about people being like, I want them to make more games like this. Please don't. Please do not. Invest all that time, money, and effort and manpower into making the big thing.
Yeah. And speaking of the big thing, here we're at the big thing of the podcast, the Q&A section, where you ask us Q's and we'll A them. I don't know. Discord questions. Here we go. Let ask. I noticed we got to hear a bit more of the slight accent Chris Pratt seems to be using for Mario. Do you think his accent will make his performance as Mario better or worse?
Worse. Because yes. I think he, like, again, the thing about it for me is not that he doesn't sound like Mario, it's that he doesn't sound like he's trying at all. And if he is trying, he's just bad at what he's trying to do. Right. I would rather not do an accent and just like give a good performance than to give an accent trying to be Mario and being bad at it.
Yeah. I think there are certain people that their accents make like putting on an accent puts you better into a certain character, and then that turns out well. Right. And yeah, I mean, like voice actors galore, you know, or like, I don't know, Mike Myers with Shrek or something like that, you know, like doing the accent like brings a certain character out of you that you wouldn't otherwise have or something along those lines. I think on the flip side, you can have it be where if he's focusing so hard on like getting the accent right and like thinking about it really hard and like whatever, then like I know that Chris Pratt has been a better actor and more lively and more all the things that I want him to be than he is here, and he has a slight accent, so I'm pretty sure that just like because he's doing that accent, he's spending half of his energy that he could be spending on acting better on trying to get like a little bit of an Italian accent kind of going. So unless the final product just shows something completely different, in which case I feel like they would have showed that off instead. Yeah, I feel like him having the accent is turning out worse than
if he just was Chris Pratt
having it. Which literally, I don't think he's ever been anything that's not Chris Pratt in what I've seen, at least. Like
he's still just Chris Pratt. It's just with a slight little like
exactly
problematic, honestly, like twang to his voice, you know. Like,
yeah. So that's that. Also I did like that Mario the plumber stopped to admire the pipe.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
I think that was again, everything that Chris Pratt has nothing to do with, it's great about this movie. The writing's great, the other characters are great, the animation's great, the references are great. But he's not. So it's like at the end of the day, I'll get over it. I'll never not think it's bad. But I think everything else is good enough that it ultimately doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like once we're not watching for it, it'll kind of probably fade into the background a little bit, and like, which I mean, you know what? Maybe that's the point. Mario is always kind of, you know, or it's like a Link type situation where typically like you don't really see Link, you see past him and you see yourself. It's like, which I never quite got that. I don't know that I've ever felt like Link is me. What are you talking about? I don't feel like that. To me, there's no difference between Link in a Zelda game and Rex in Xenoblade. Right. And Rex is very voice acted and very like fully a character, and Link,
I think any character
be just
that much, which I don't know. I guess for Link is like they just see him as like the or Saul at least. I mean, still do because they still like jack that anecdote. They see him as like the common denominator human. Which,
blank slate kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, blonde hair, blue eye, man.
You know what? That's true. Yeah. For what it's worth, I think also it might be a me thing because I think that's like to some degree I see myself a little bit as that oftentimes, and so for that reason, maybe when I see, I don't know. So like the reason Link and Rex, for example, aren't that different from each other, even though like Rex is much more of a like specific character or whatever, is that like I probably just would tend to do the generic video game character thing anyway. So you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that better, but yeah.
For me, it's just like that argument never works for any character that you can't customize. If you can't customize the character, it cannot be a blank slate character.
Yeah. Cal just said the idea that Link is a self-inserts is hilarious when a disabled lesbian. So no, totally get that.
Yeah. Like
I think they can just go ahead and make him be a full-on character, you know, like just do it, and that's fine.
That's what he is. Like that, like
when I play as Madeline in Celeste, I don't feel like Madeline is me in Celeste. Like I'm playing as specifically Madeline in Celeste, and that's great. That's who I want to be playing as. You know?
And I think that it's common for so many people to be like, well, I don't need to see myself in characters that are like self-insert because like I always try to make somebody else anyway. It's like, yeah, because you're so oversaturated everywhere. You're always yourself all the time. Like, so the people that are not do want to see that. So it's weird hearing them say that characters that are very not them are supposed to be them. It's kind of like,
Yep. I also like, I've heard something like this before, but yeah, what Alex said, let Link be a character, but leave him mute and have him sign.
That would be cool.
Like, yeah, just have reasons for like, because I mean, this just shows how little I know, but as someone who's mute, I imagine you still can make noises. Sorry, that feels super. I
mean, I'm sure that there's like
probably levels of that where it's like if it's a vocal cord
like
thing,
it's a varying
that's
thing for sure.
So yeah, I guess I am pretty uneducated on that whole front, but it seems like that's still something within the whole vein that like, Cal said depends on the cause. Probably good point. So yeah, but in any case, I feel like that would be a great thing all around. So do that. This question, GK Dope Esquire said, or ask, said there's a UE at the end of it. So is it actually? I've been saying Esquire for forever
because he puts the UE at the end.
Yeah, I bet you're right. Dope-esque, like kind of dope. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry if I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Esquire just is fun to say, I guess. A side note, fun little story. At one point, I had to mail something. I think I've told this on here before.
Yes,
I had to mail something to Max, and I put on his like address. I put the name of something like Sir Maxwell something blah 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 the third, and the guy at the post office had to ask me a question and he was like, do you know if Sir Maxwell is going to something, and like asked it super nonchalantly, and I was cracking up that was happening. So in any case, GK Dope-esque, who I've probably been saying I'm wrong the whole time, said, what's your favorite heated chocolate-based drink? Hot chocolate, cocoa, drinking chocolate, some mocha coffee drink, etc.
Hot chocolate, I guess, because I don't think I've ever had any other thing. Well, I've had so I don't like coffee, so it's definitely not like mocha coffee because I've had that, but I don't like it. Bob made me hot chocolate before. That was pretty good.
Nice. I'd probably say peppermint hot chocolate just for the good times there. I'm fine with mocha. I'm a little less fine with peppermint mocha just because to me peppermint coffee and chocolate, peppermint and chocolate 100% go together. I love it. Yes.
I don't know why. Like when you said mocha, my brother's dog's name is Mocha. So when you said it, I was like, but how do you know Mocha? But when I said Mocha, like that didn't even go in my head. Like I didn't think about the dog at all. But yeah, no, that was funny.
But that's what I'm talking about. Is I love putting peppermint on your brother's dog and just run around. But yeah, I'd say peppermint hot chocolate.
What is drinking chocolate?
What's your favorite holiday drink?
I like
I don't know what drinking chocolate is. Me too. I just bought some. I haven't had any of it yet, but yeah, it was. I'd gone to.
I had eggnog at Thanksgiving.
Nice. For me, I don't know that eggnog is. I feel like eggnog is specifically Christmassy to me.
I mean, it is, but I'm
just
just saying I had it there. It was there, so I had it.
As well, you should. So yeah, good question. Grimhane asked, who knew Bill Clinton single-handedly saved video games?
Did he? I don't know if he did. I'm not sure about the optics of that situation specifically. Once the child got arrested, I was like, damn. It's like, that's crazy. I was pulling for him at first, but I don't know. What did he do? Did he like kill somebody to get up there?
Yeah. It was funny. The whole time he was up there, Ashley was also like, who is he one of their sons that's just up there?
That's what I
like
thought.
The way he was walking around, I was like, I don't know. But like that nobody took him away before that was also weird. So like, I don't know. Yeah, Cal said I heard he's been on InfoWars, which I also heard that. So I don't know. I also don't know much about InfoWars except for something Alex Jones, and I know that's not good.
It's an oof. Let's just sum it up as that.
That's what conspiracy theory stuff, is that
right?
Oh
wait, Alex said the drinking chocolate is thick, rich, more bittersweet hot chocolate, typically served in smaller portions and with something to dunk in it.
Okay, I'd be interested in trying some of that. Interesting. What a time. Mark asked, what is the hypothetical fruit of the year?
Grapes. I think grapes are probably the fruit I consume the most this year.
I'm gonna go with pineapple because I didn't have much this year. If I had more of it, that would have been great, but I didn't. So hypothetically,
that's the all right. So I can't. So grapes. That doesn't make sense that I say grapes because I had.
What's one that you wish you had the most, the more of compared to how much you actually had? I guess.
Right. So if I'm going down your pair logic, probably raspberries because like I had raspberries. I had raspberries at some point this year, but they were like mushy. So I was like, these are like not the greatest raspberries I've ever had. But I, in theory, like raspberries. So we'll say the hypothetical fruit of the year is raspberries.
Perfect. I love it. Man. Okay. Trev asked.
Also, is it hypothetical or theoretical? You said hypothetical.
It is theoretical,
but it's theoretical.
I think.
The meme is theoretical. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But they both. They're
not like opposites. So it's a similar line of thought.
Indeed. All right. Last questions. Trev asked, number one, what's the best appetizer a restaurant can offer?
Okay, so this depends. Do we mean like the best that they can offer in terms of like the thing that has the potential to be the best thing, or the best thing that they can offer that you can like order with certainty that it's not bad, that it's like you're satisfied with it across the board? Because if it's the latter, mozzarella sticks, because like you can't mess up a freaking mozzarella stick, dude.
True.
It's like 2 ingredients. Best thing. See, this is harder.
I'm gonna say there's a place near us called The Goat that has, it's like hash browns but with like some pulled pork kind of stuff and just a lot of, I don't know what all is on it, some kind of sauce, some like various things. It's like braised pork and stuff specifically too. It's probably the best. It's the best appetizer there is. So I'm going to go with that one.
I'm going to say
whatever that's called.
Some sort of like either nachos or like loaded fries, like either one of those things, because there's a lot of stuff that you could put on it and it'd be really good.
True. I've got to go in like seconds. So let's do the last questions. Rapid fire. Trev asks, how much did they pay Al Pacino to show up at the Game Awards? 20,000 million.
I think they gave him a video game for his kid, even though his kid is old.
Yep. And there it is. And last one, Into Jazz asks, if you became CEO of Nintendo tomorrow, what would you have for lunch?
Probably something with mushrooms, I guess.
Oh, I love it. I mean, I don't, because mushrooms are kind of
mushrooms are fine. They exist. They're there.
They do. Yeah. But I'll agree just for the comedy and the goofs.
Yep.
As it were.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds
with that,
good.
so long, everybody.
Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. You see that end screen doesn't look great? If you didn't click the subscribe button, you should click the subscribe button and click the video that's on the screen. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye.